I'm Dwayne Brummett. He's Ali Alberigo, and this is the School Owner Talk podcast. Hello once again, Dwayne Brummett here with Ali Alberigo, schoolownertalk.com. Hey, Ali, great to be with you, sir.
Thank you so much, man. I'm excited about today's podcast.
Yeah, we've got a special guest on, and you want to introduce him first and how you know him? And
yeah, we met, Master Cervizzi and I met at an event that my friend hosts every year called Masters Unite. And Professor Andrew is like my best buddy. And then he introduced us. And it's like, you know, that type of relationship where you meet someone and you kind of know, like, you just like them immediately. Well, him and I kind of hit it off, and then we chatted, and some people say we even look alike. I don't know.
I know.
Are you guys family or brothers? Yeah, we met, and then we hung out a few more times at other events in Atlantic City once. And just a great overall guy. Master Cervizzi, he has run multiple schools, and he's a very highly successful school owner in Boston, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, both of you, for allowing me to be on. I really appreciate it. And and Ali, and great job and great broadcast. I listen all the time, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so much. So we'll jump right in, and it's casual conversation. So if you have anything you want to say or anything you want to talk about, we do want to mention your martial art tournament that you run at the end and how people could get involved, the extravaganza.
Extravaganza weekend. Yes, that's coming up in March.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. But so tell us about, I'll start off, Dwayne, and then you could get the next question. So tell us about your kind of quest in the martial arts. You had 6 schools at one time, and you and I were discussing privately, like, about as we get older, our mindset changes, and tolerance and the perception of what you want to do in your life. And you ask yourself those questions, like, what am I going to do now? And, you know, at this stage in my life, what do I want to do? So give us some insight on that.
Yeah, it's kind of like I've kind of come full circle a little bit. As like most of us, I got into martial arts in the mid-70s and just haven't stopped. And it's really become a way of life. I love it, as you folks do. And but at the time, you know, I after college, I got a full-time job. I was working in the criminal justice system as a probation officer, and I ended up being in that field for 32 years.
Wow.
And and it was a great service to the community and the state, the Commonwealth, and really enjoyed it. But martial arts really was my passion throughout even that work-life balance that we're going to talk about. So I did that. I also ended up going to law school at night. I did that in the early 90s. And again, just kind of figuring out where I wanted to go, what I wanted to be, and all that different stuff. So long story short, with the martial arts, yes, I ended up opening 6 locations, kind of just north of Boston. My first location I opened in a little town where I grew up. It was called Winthrop, Massachusetts, just right outside the airport, Boston Logan Airport. And I opened up that school in 1995, actually the year after I graduated law school. And from there, it took off. And I started opening up locations kind of like strategically for advertising purposes and for staff purposes and things like that, and grew it to 6 locations. And knock on wood, something that you folks may want to talk about too is, you know, I've been blessed by having the staff that I've had staff with me since 1995. They're all homegrown.
Wow.
The few that I didn't have homegrown, you know, let's just say didn't work out. I did try that, but staff is all homegrown. And I've been blessed to have people by my side covering it because, as you both know, you can't do all of this by yourself.
No.
You know, so the schools have been going great. I currently run 2 at the moment. as we get a little bit older, and like you said, as we chat, kind of life balance might come into play a little bit, which we can get into, family, kind of perspective on life and things like that. So that's where I am right now. And then, I started running events and small events, just kind of like what you guys do, kind of like intra-school events, just with my
Yeah.
own programs,
Right.
which turned out great. And I never expected to be having these, what has now become international events, that I promote and run yearly. Never dreamed that it would come to this, and I'm blessed with that too, because there's no way in heck that both of you know that when you run an event, no matter how small, how large, again, you can't do it yourself. It's just
Right.
impossible. So, knock on wood. I've been
Yeah.
I've been blessed. So I'm doing it full time now. I left the probation service in 2018, and doing this full time. So
Wow.
yeah,
Great.
so I'm really enjoying it. I'm teaching a lot. I do a lot of one-on-one private training, and running these events, and just trying to get as much exposure for my students as possible by bringing in other instructors from other disciplines.
Right.
And it's fantastic. It's fantastic. I'm very lucky.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So, Dwayne, what do you think? Any questions, real quick?
Yeah, I'm thinking I need to take a road trip over to the East Coast.
Let's
So
go.
I was,
Let's go.
I was just in Pennsylvania, so I just needed to go a little bit farther.
Close. No, we'll arrange that. We'll arrange that.
No, I'm not trying to push myself. I'm just saying that sounds fun.
Yeah.
So how old were you when I know you said in the 70s, but like how old were you when you first started into the martial arts, and what, I mean, I know as a young kid, for me, of course, I pretended like I always knew karate, even well before, I was ever in martial arts.
Right.
I'm assuming the same thing as, growing up as a young boy, you always pretended like you knew something, even if you didn't. But
Right.
how did you get introduced and then kind of grow from there?
Yeah, kind of a crazy funny story, actually. So I think it was 1975 or the end of 74. I lived in this small town I mentioned to you before. It's called Winthrop, and it's a very small, close-knit community just outside of the airport. And there was a family in town that ran, actually, it's out of their house. They had like kind of a athletic compound where one of the siblings would teach yoga, one of them, would teach swimming lessons, another member of the family would teach something else, and one of the sons taught martial arts. So I had no idea what it was, what I was getting into, and what have you. So a friend of mine asked, said, "Hey, you want to come to a karate class with me?" Oh yeah, that's fine. So one class, that's all I did. I went to one class with a buddy of mine, and I was sold. I said, "This is the greatest thing since sliced bread." And what I ended up doing, I wanted to kind of get become part of like a formalized program, because this again was great, but it was, it was just something that they were doing part-time and running out of the house. So I joined my first Kempo school in East Boston, which is right over the line of Winthrop, and a formalized school, and kind of have stayed with the same system for almost 50 years now.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
So
funny.
then,
Go ahead,
no,
Dwayne.
go ahead. No, go on.
I was gonna say it's funny that you're a Kempo guy, and when I go out to breakfast every Wednesday, I'm surrounded by a table of Kempo guys. Only one jiu-jitsu guy out of like 7 of us, and the rest are Kempo guys.
Oh,
So,
that's
most
interesting.
of my friends are Kempo people. Like, it's amazing. I don't know why. I did Kempo when I was younger as well, but all my buddies are Kempo people.
How's John Busto doing?
He's doing great. He's one of my friends that is a Kempo guy, right? Yeah, he's
Great guy. Miss talking to him.
yeah, good guy. So I'm sorry, Dwayne. Go ahead. You were going to ask.
No, you're fine. I was just curious, like, then how did you transition into, wanting to open up a school, and from there, I mean, obviously the multiple locations probably came from, you're raising up your own students, and then the logical thing is, okay, let's open up another one. But
Yeah. So again, back to the small little town of Winthrop. And like I said, I grew up there, and all of my, it was just my brother and I, but my mother and father were very well known in the community. My father was an attorney in the town and surrounding area for 50 plus years. So we had some really, fortunate name recognition, I guess you could say, in a small town. I literally was walking down the street one day on a side street, and I looked in. I was with my wife. We had just gotten married, and I looked over, and there was an empty barber shop. Was a barber shop. It was a little location. It couldn't have been more than 600 square feet. And I said, her name is Laura. I said, wow, this would be a great place to open a karate school. She's looking at me. I'm looking at her, and whatever. So then the thought just went out, and I said, I could open up a school, put my name on it because the name recognition of the town, and I bet you I'll do pretty well. I'll do it like on a part-time basis. My brother, I was teaching my brother at the time, and I said, well, Peter could help me out, and just do it maybe a couple of nights a week and on a Saturday and see how it goes. Well, fast forward that little 600 square feet, and I was right, luckily. First day I opened, I had a great number of students just by putting grand opening in the name, and that little square foot went to the wall being broken down to like 1,500 square feet, and then that went to purchasing a building across the street and having my own freestanding building. So it kind of, I don't know, it spiraled, and I developed, and I mentioned this earlier, a great core of people, and I met so many nice people. We've become tremendous friends. They're like family to me. And I just, from the logical step, is like, well, let me open up another. I'd approach an instructor or a black belt, senior black belt, and say, are you interested in running a school or opening up a school, even on a part-time basis? Can you teach? And it just evolved. It evolved to 6 locations, and I'm blessed. And it's not all rosy, as you know. It's not all rosy, One of the locations I made a conscious decision to close, which is always difficult to do, but it's also, you got to have the smarts to say, hey, wait a minute, this isn't cutting it, So I did close one, and that, that bruises your ego. But from a financial standpoint, it just wasn't working. So then I just continued on further north. I moved to the North Shore of Boston, and then I ended up opening 4 other locations in the North Shore of Boston, where I currently reside.
Wow.
Well, better a bruised ego than a drained bank account.
Yeah, and so many people, I think, with the ego, and there's a lot of egos in martial arts, right?
That's what Allie says. I haven't run across it.
Yeah, Allie, there's a lot of egos, and sometimes we just don't want to let go. But from the business sense, like you said, you have to understand where the priority lies. And I knew I'd be able to pick up, move on, and continue on, which thankfully I have. I've been blessed.
Yeah.
And you got to have your family behind you too, because this can be tough, as you both know. It's tough. You're out late evenings, sometimes Saturdays and Sundays. You're traveling, you're doing different things, you're answering calls at night, and now with the new age of social media, you're doing different things, and
all the time.
Yeah, and I still get slack from on the home front, but thank God to have a supportive family and children that kind of understood the life,
Yeah.
Well, you're an anomaly, really, with regards to the fact that you stayed married through all of that. You're able to raise a couple of kids through all of that, and that's not the norm in the United States in general, but in the martial arts industry, just the amount of people that do not stay together, it's tremendous.
No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I have so many friends that have been divorced, and they blame, they blame it on the spouse, but not necessarily on their lifestyle. And it is tough, like you got to put that time in. I remember when I had my daughter and she was born, I remember saying, I'm going to spend time with her. And if she needs me, I'll drop anything that I'm doing. I could be on the mid phone call with a client. And if she says, come on, Dad, more than once, 3 times was my rule, I would say, guys, I'm going to have to get back to you. Something came up, and then I'd hang up the phone and spend time with her. But I lost a lot of my black belts when I started to shift away from being there every single day, 24/7 kind of thing. And I wanted to spend time with my daughter, and they basically quit. If they couldn't be with me and I couldn't get, and by the way, it didn't matter whether they didn't show up. It only mattered that if they showed up and I wasn't there,
Correct.
then they were mad at me and they were all quitting. And I lost a lot of my black belts because I couldn't babysit them. And I thought they should be helping me out at this time of need, right? They should be the ones stepping up and being happy to do it. But it doesn't work that way. It's the WIIFM, what's in it for me society.
Right. And I think that sometimes we get caught in that too, because when we start our programs or doing whatever, we want it to be successful. So we're there all the time.
Right.
And then, like you said, people, I don't use the word spoil, but sometimes get really used to that attention. And I want to be with this person. He's the guy, she's the woman,
Right.
or whoever is running the school. And like you said, when you try to step away, obviously for family and for other legitimate reasons, it becomes difficult with the business.
Yeah. Yeah, it certainly is.
Difficult, you know, and a lot of people, you know, I tell people all the time, and I know you guys do too, is we're providing and facilitating what I believe to be some life-changing skill sets. And the benefits, you know, we can talk about at some point, you know, all of us feel what the benefits of martial arts can and should be. But at the same time, we do have to pay, you know, it's a business in the sense that, you know, whether it's a rent, whether it's a mortgage, whether it's payroll, whether it's insurance, whether, you know, we've got bills to pay.
Yeah.
Right.
And you got to make sure that it happens. So like you said, Ali, is, you know, sometimes when you're not there, things suffer.
Yeah, I find that interesting. Like my whole life, I mean, I've been open going on 33 years this year. And I find it interesting that how ever since I started, people look at you like it's some monk, like a monk that works for free, and you shouldn't have money. You shouldn't, you know, you should be pulling up on an old donkey to the dojo. Like they expect you to be this kind of, like, I don't know, like almost like, you know, altruistically only person. And, they don't realize that it's a business. Like I just had a parent that I had to kick out of my school just 2 days ago because he didn't come to our awards banquet for our dinner. So his 2 kids didn't get an award, but he wanted the award anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, but we only order them for the people who come to the dinner. Like we don't buy an extra 100 to just give away to people who don't feel like coming. And so he said, well, I pay you a lot of money. I better get that award or I'm quitting. And I said to him, my next answer was, that's really sad to hear. I like your kids, but what would be your last day, today or tomorrow?
Right.
And he said,
he looked at you.
Yeah. Well, no, he wasn't. This was all through Messenger, actually.
Oh, okay.
And so he said, tomorrow, you know, like, I'm like, oh, let's do it as of today. I got it. And I'll take care of it. And I did. I canceled his membership because I'm so tired of that people assuming that it's the money, and it's not really at all. Even though we make a good living, we don't do it for the money. And I don't know if people understand that, like, especially lay people, like, you know, the customer, they don't get it.
And what I like that you did was you were the buyer in that situation. You know, you didn't allow him to be the buyer. You said, yeah, okay. Like you didn't even argue. We're not going to, you're done. Like, when's your last day?
Right.
And I'm glad that you did that. I'm sorry I cut you off.
No, not to cut me off at all. Sorry to cut you off. Is that, you know, the mentality before, remember, I mean, 2 of you remember it, you know, when we're all starting, you know, if someone said they wanted to quit or something, we were like, oh my God, I'm going to lose a student. And at all costs, you know, would be beg, borrowing and whatever to keep the student. And I think, you know, when you reach, you know, 30 plus years in business and you've seen it all and done it all, you know what you do for people. Both of you do. And I do myself, is then you can say no.
Yeah.
You know, no is an answer. No is a good answer. And you feel
no is a complete sentence.
100%, right? And you feel okay with that, because what's that gentleman going to do afterwards? If you have, whether you have another event or you have a tournament or you whatever, is that expectation of me, me, me. It's just going to continue. So yeah, I applaud you for that, Allie.
Yeah, it's hard though. Like you said, even after years, you never want to, like, I want every one of my students to start at young age, grow up to be adults, have kids, set their kids up in the program, and everyone in the family will train eventually. But we know that
Exactly.
it's not realistic that everyone does that. Some will, but it's a hard thing to accept because we love our martial art and our school. It's our baby.
Right.
And we can't understand why people may not love it as much as we do, and realize the benefits and understand how lucky they are, and so on and so forth. That's tough for me still in this day and age.
Do you think that, let me ask both of you a question. So, you know how everybody will say to us, this school opened up over here, or this studio opened up over here. That's competition. And I'll always say, and I know you too, is that's not competition. That's good. Our competition is maybe sports
Right.
or right, local town athletics, or in this day and age, as you know, you've got, forget town sports. Growing up, I played one sport one season.
Yeah.
There was only like the town sports. And now you've got, they don't even do town. It's like AAU, this, that,
Yeah.
this double team, special team. They're on this team and that, and they're going 7 days a week. And I think that I wanted to throw this out to you, is that the martial arts industry as a whole, I think, has not caught up to speed in really selling the benefits of what we do. And I think a lot of parents still, less with the adults, obviously, but the parents still see it as an activity or a hobby, right?
Yeah.
And you were mentioning, Allie, and that's what just triggered it to me is, we eat, drink, and sleep this stuff.
Yeah.
It becomes part of our soul, and it's part of our daily life. Other people may not see that as a place to drop the kid off. Let me go do a few errands, come back. Oh, you don't like it? When's the season end? I often get questions. I go, what do you mean, when's the season end?
Yeah.
I go, no, we go 12 months, 365, couple of holidays, we're closed, we're ready to go.
Yeah.
Look at you. Huh?
Yeah.
So I don't think, this, I know it doesn't apply to us, but I just don't think the education of what we actually do and how we can actually change people's lives and on a daily basis resonates far and wide. And I really think that, maybe we can be a catalyst, the three of us, to try to make sure that happens,
I think that, Dwayne, do you want to go first or?
No, I can go second.
Okay. So, because I always just jump right in and I don't want to cut you off, but so I think the answer to that question of changing how it is, and it's not easy, is brainwashing. And I don't say that as a joke. There's a great book out called Brand Washing, and it's all about brand recognition, brand washing. It was amazing, the book, and then how they did a study of a young couple. They moved them in. They weren't even actually a couple, but they pretended them to be, and they moved them into this cul-de-sac in this very wealthy area. And then they started hosting parties, inviting the neighbors over, and they were brand testing a wine, a shampoo, and they would talk about it. And until they found, like, within a few months, that all the people who wanted to be cool were all using the brands at this new couple. They were selling their cars and buying Range Rovers like they had, and getting a built-in pool put in. Like, they literally brand washed the entire community. And the study from the book, I don't remember what it was where, but it's on YouTube, and they show the actual study and how it changed things, throughout. So the reason why I say that is the only way we're going to win is if we can get people behind what we do and educate them on why, because we would hope they would get it. They would understand, but they're not going to, because it's not the society anymore. Right. No. Years ago when I was growing up, I was honored to be in my teacher's dojo. Now they're like, the guy said to me, well, if you don't give my kid his award, I'm going to go somewhere else. Like, cause he could go down the road to someone else. It's that easy. He doesn't feel we're special. He doesn't feel that we're all that great, because he's easily able to pick up and move on. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. You're absolutely right. And I think that piggybacks on, Dwayne, Okay, you go.
No, I was just going to say when I first started, I looked at other martial arts schools as my competition.
Yeah.
Then I
We all do.
graduated.
Yep.
Then I graduated to looking at other activities as my competition.
Mm-hmm.
Now I look at neither as my competition. And here's my point is there are no other quote unquote activities that can build a human being like my martial arts program,
Right.
maybe others martial arts program, but no other martial arts school in my area does what we do with regards to the leadership development, number one.
Yep.
So that obviously talks about character development skills. And I'm sure other schools talk about the character development skills, but can they pull out the actual manual or manuals or curriculum that they're using to build these human beings with those skills? Second is on a physical fitness or on a self-defense side, we have 4 arts that we encompass to have a holistic self-protection program for our students. So from the ground to close quarters to stand up to impact weapons, knives, guns, all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
No other school is doing that. And then lastly, the physical fitness development with regards to the, and I don't generically saying push-ups and pull-ups and sit-ups and all those things, but strategically improving our students at each level. So I don't look at any of those quote unquote activities and or those other martial arts schools as competition at all, because they're not even in the same realm that I'm in. Now,
no doubt.
All of that being said, I have to be really good at communicating those things to my clients so that they see, wow, there is a difference between my martial art, my kids' martial arts school, and my kids' friends' martial arts school. Number one, the physical activities that my kid is in, they're doing so much better in comparison to some of the other kids because of their physical fitness ability at their level because of the martial arts school. And then, obviously the character development with the leadership skills and those type of things. So again, I have to be able to communicate that not just once. That's got to be an ongoing communication.
Yeah.
So that they're being not only just sold on the program, but resold on the program over and over and over again. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. And I think, it's that's the part that I was alluding to. And there's no question, there's no doubt as I sit here today with both of you that the programs that we teach, we really believe that, there's some other good programs, obviously, but many do not do what we do and instill in people. And I think the issue becomes, like you just said, Dwayne, is yes, we have to get that message out over and over again to our students, but we also have to make sure that we get that message out to the general public, and our students get that out to their friends. And it's almost like a referral program, because, you still get while we know, like you said, that our programs are what they are, there's still enough martial arts schools where parents will say, what's the cheapest one and which is the closest one, right? Yeah. And they don't know if Paul or Dwayne or Allie has been doing this their entire life and dedicating this 24/7, or is it, some person that just decided to start something, a business and do it because their friends go there,
You see, I've been trying over the last 5 or 6 months is to decode what's going on, like to find out why.
Yep.
And I think I've found that we do what we do because we love it and we know what it is, right? But no matter how much we say what it is and how great it is, there are going to be people that are just going to ignore what we say because they don't have the aptitude to understand it at the level we do. Like they don't know how it's going to change their kid's life. Like, for example, I just had a family of 3, love the kids. They're actually young. They started when they were like 2. Now they're like 4 years old, 5 years old. And they're just starting to get good, like right now, really get good, right? And they just quit. They stopped, but they quit in a great way. The mom said, we love your school. The kids love your school. My husband loves the school. So I'm like, so then why are you quitting? In my mind, like, why would you quit something? She's like, we just want to do other things. We just feel that they should learn other things. And for them, that's the way they think. And that's how they govern as a family. It's not,
Right.
They don't see it as, oh my God, if we stay with this forever, we're going to change their lives when they're 20 and 30 years old. They're trying to get them to be as well blended and well rounded as they could in everything. They think that that's the parenting success, so like we have to somehow brand wash or explain, but there are going to be a good majority, like, probably 50 to 60% of our families and parents and students that they're just going to hear us and it's going to go in one ear and out the other, like no matter what.
100%. Close to home for me, one of my, he's deceased now, one of my instructors, his name was Larry Guerin. He was a real mentor to me for many, many years. And he really took a liking to my son. And he said to me, Paul, your son is going to be a spokesperson. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I know, my son and my daughter were in it since they were 3 or 4 years old, obviously, right? You have to come to karate. You have to come to karate. But to this day, him being married and 26 years old, he always put about martial arts on his resume.
Yeah.
And I cannot tell you whether he was applying for a school or whether he was applying for a job. The interviewers were more interested in the martial arts than, where he went to school and what grade point average he had and what work experience, right? So he'll always say, Dad, I will use that I did this, I did that in the martial arts. It's worked out so well for me. And obviously he shows the benefit, right? He talked about the discipline and the structure and the time management and all those things. And it's like that, you see it close to home. And like you said, decoding, how do we get that message out as a group? As we spend, you guys look at what you do for marketing. And I know, Allie, on a personal note, you're the marketing guru, right? Look how much time we spend marketing, right?
Yeah.
How much do we spend marketing to really get out there, specifically with analytics, to show how much we're changing people's lives? I don't know the answer to that.
Right.
I don't know the answer to that. And, it might be a nice roundtable discussion at some point.
Well, think about the old 1980s campaigns with Got Milk. Like, right, the milk thing. They were pushing, which, by the way, as a vegan, I'll say milk is probably the worst thing you could ever eat. Yeah. Right? Like, it's does so much bad for, asthma and all this stuff for children and allergens and so on. But I would have to say that campaign probably got so many people to drink milk because the overall campaign was, the celebrities with milk mustache.
Yes.
And, drink milk, big, huge glass of milk. Like we were brainwashed to do it.
As if that was the only place that you could get your vitamin D.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And it's almost like,
Yep.
I don't know if you remember when McDonald's used to have the hamburgers growing and kids were not eating them because they knew that they were made from cows. Right. So what they did was they switched the campaign and they made them grow on a plant. So there was in the cartoon, there was a plant with the burger growing on top of the plant to take away the stigma of them killing animals. So that campaign was the hamburglar, right? And stealing the hamburger. It was like they were subtly brainwashing people to eat the way they do. And that's why our society does what it does, because we've been brainwashed for everything.
Yep. Advertising, right?
Advertising. And it's just amazing. But I think that's the biggest dilemma. And by the way, the last comment I think I have on parenting and students in the martial arts is we look at commitment as a good thing. We say, you know, you'll learn commitment, you'll learn self-discipline, you'll learn focus. But sometimes a parent says, like, I don't know if I want to commit to a whole nother activity 3 days a week, hour a day, or whatever it is, 2 hours by travel, because I just don't have the energy, because parents are exhausted these days.
Rightfully so.
You know, so like we're up against that as well.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. And, you know, it goes back to also on that commitment level, whether a school does, you know, just a month to month or does a contract / agreement or whatever it does is fine. But you're right. In that enrollment conference, I think it's so crucial that we explain to families that it is a commitment.
Yeah.
And if you want to see the, you know, if Johnny's coming in here because you want him to be able to focus better, right? And that's what's so important that the three of us do when families come in and they have that enrollment conference, find out what they're looking for, what they need, and what's your expectations. So if they want Johnny to focus more, that's not going to happen in 30 days.
Right.
And that commitment factor, like you said, scares a lot of people.
Yeah.
Irrespective if it's part of your business plan or not, just that you need to come and show up, right?
Yeah.
For some amount of time, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to be here forever, but some amount of time.
Right.
You know, and that, I think it's imperative and crucial for us to explain that up front.
Yeah, it's like being a diabetic, right? You have to change your diet and your exercise routine for it to have long-term results, right?
Right.
Most people, though, will just rather take a pill and keep on. Like my dad, rest his soul, he was a great guy, retired cop, and a bodybuilder his whole life, and he ended up with diabetes and then Parkinson's, right? And my stepmom would cook for him, like, you know, fried chicken, and they'd have soda and big gulps, and I'm like, Dad, the medicine's not going to fix the problem. If especially now that you think you're taking the medicine, you're going to eat twice as bad as you did before, right? So like people want the quick fix. So like I want my kid to learn discipline, but I don't want to commit to the program. Well, then you don't want them to learn discipline. If you're and I get it, I really do, because I could see the exhaustion in people's eyes, those parents, as they sit at my table and they have 3 other kids. And they're enrolling 1 or 2 other kids. It's tough. So
it's tough.
Yeah.
Single parents, you got a mom with the carrying the you know, the bassinet there, and the other kids screaming, and we're telling them, you know, you got to commit. I get it, right?
Yeah.
We get it.
Yeah, we got to do. I love what you said, though. You have to sit down and say, listen, almost like a slap into reality. Like, if you want this, you need to commit. There's no other way of doing it.
I think setting that tone up front makes a difference. And I know that both of you feel that same way. You know, it's a commitment. And like you said, you know, what we do can be life-changing. We all, the three of us and several others, could sit here and spend hours talking about how people's lives have changed, and they've come back and told us, or they're with us and they've changed. There's no doubt about it. I just I think that we have to do a better job, and whether you call it decoding or whatever, to get, like you said, Dwayne, all the great things that you're doing at your program, that, like you said, other schools may mention it, but aren't doing it. And certainly other activities in and of themselves are not singularly doing it. And I always tell the parents too, I'm not saying quit hockey. Hockey's great. Basketball's great. Soccer's great. My kids played sports. This helps their sports.
Yeah.
You want their footwork to be better for soccer? Dojo. You want speed? Dojo. You want hand-eye coordination? Dojo. Right? It's getting that constant affirmation out there that that we don't want you to just do karate.
Right.
Let your kids try everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, like that family of 3 that quit. The one boy, I watch him. I'm friends with him on Instagram. He's now wrestling and killing it. And I said to the mom before they left, I said, wow, he's really doing good. She's like, yeah. I go, where do you think he learned all that stuff?
Right. Like, do they make that connection as though?
They didn't, though. They don't. They really have no clue. Like, it's amazing. Well,
and that's why I think, and I always tell my instructors this, I don't know how well they do it, and I'm not trying to say in comparison to me, but it's just I do this naturally, is I teach while I teach.
Right.
And I'll give you, for instance, we had a black belt test in January,
Uh-huh.
and one of the kids was doing something on the test, and I called them out and I said, "Why are you doing that?" And she says to me, I don't know. And I go, "Well, let me ask you a question. If you worked for me and I asked you, why are you doing something? And you told me, I don't know, how long would you keep your job?"
Right.
She's
True.
like, and she's probably 9, 10 years old. And she goes, "I probably wouldn't." I go, "No, you wouldn't." I
Right.
said, "So I'm going to ask that question again. Why were you doing this?" And she goes, "I wasn't paying attention." I said, "Yes." And I already knew the answer,
Of course.
but I needed you to verbalize that. And then I'd done that at a few different times with different things throughout the test. Well, towards at the end of the test, we do a wrap up. And I turned to the parents and I said, "Parents, what better place for your kids to learn how to operate and function, not only in the studio, but outside of the studio, in the
Yeah.
classroom, at schools, in later on when they're working for someone or
Yeah.
working with someone?"
Yeah.
I said, "You saw that demonstrated today, didn't you?"
That's
Yeah.
important, right?
Yes. Like I had to teach while I was teaching.
Right.
Absolutely. And so so the parents, you allow the parents to be present during class? Yes, no, some do, some don't.
I have my parents in my lobby, which is a separate room off from the classroom, and they watch via the monitors.
That's a great idea too.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Dwayne?
Yeah, it's open. I mean, I got a one floor plan and it's open. Everybody can
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah, I got the same, and I really agree with you. You know, I was of the opinion. You know how we go through these cycles, right? I went, I don't know, maybe in the '90s. Keep everybody out. It's a distraction. You know, da da da. And you know, my view of that completely did a 360, and I am so for, like you just said, having the parents come in and teaching the parents and the kids at the same time. Because everything we do, and this is what I tell my instructors, and I know you tell the same, everybody's watching us, right? They may be on their phones in the lobby or in your waiting room, Allie. They're watching, right?
Yeah.
Those are their kids. They're watching.
Yeah.
Right. So I tell the instructors, don't think that you're not being watched. Everything you say, everything you do, the way that you're dressed, the way that you approach, the way that you talk, you're being scrutinized every single day.
Yes.
And I think it's important, you know, again, back to the image thing too, is another thing that we didn't, you don't talk about. How many martial arts programs will tout that they do A, B, and C? And again, I'm not knocking martial arts programs. I'm just saying all service industries, but you know, I wouldn't even dream of this, but someone swearing or someone saying something inappropriate out loud, you know,
Right.
it's just, you know, we're being scrutinized, and we gotta realize that, you know.
And there's a lot of people, though, sadly, as everyone knows that they shouldn't act like that. However, you look at instructors, and I used to visit schools all the time.
Right.
And I would walk in, they don't know who I am. I just happen to be in town, and I'd walk in, and number one, I'd get ignored for like 20 minutes. They wouldn't even say hi to me. Number two, if I did ask a question, they gave me an attitude. Or if I introduced myself as a martial art teacher, they would get a little bit confrontational, like what are you doing here? Like that kind of thing. But I once went in a school, Sergio von Schmeling from Florida.
Okay.
And, I walked in, and the instructor saw me walk in. I guess obviously he didn't recognize me. He immediately said, "Hey, whoever, Joey, take the count on the class." And he walked off the floor, shook my hand, walked me to the front desk, and said, you know, as he's talking to me, like, "Why are you here?" And I explained, just to visit, say hello. "I'm going to give you to my program manager. Ask any questions you want. I'm going to go back on the floor and teach." Like, they had it down. Like, I felt like, oh my God, I felt special, even though I wasn't joining a school.
Yeah.
So some schools, they're like, "Yeah, can I help you?" Like attitudes,
Like, what are you doing here, right? What are you doing here?
yeah.
What drives me nuts is, like you said, you can go in anywhere. You could go into a store to buy food or do whatever, and you're waiting there for 15, 20 minutes while they see you.
Yeah.
Right?
And ignore you.
And they ignore you. And
Yeah.
you tell your staff, "Hey, listen, customer service 10.0, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't do that. 3-second rule." boom, go get them, right?
I've walked out of many high-end car dealerships with expensive cars because they ignored me. And I said to my daughter, we're going to wait 5 more minutes. Let's see if they come over. Like I'm teaching her business. If
Yeah.
they don't come within 5 minutes, we're walking out of here. And by the way, I had a Dodge Viper at the time. So I pull up in my Viper looking at the Audi A6 or whatever it was, A8.
Yep.
And they ignored me. I literally was like, there was 20 people on the sales floor, not one person in the showroom. And not one person walked over and said, could I help you? If you have any, even if they said, if you have any questions, just come and get us. We don't want to bother you. But they ignored me and I left. They didn't even come out and say, hey, can I help you? Or like nothing.
No, you just want to be acknowledged, even if they're busy, right? You'd
Exactly.
say, I'll be right with you. Would you like a glass of water? Can I be right? You know, whatever. No.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I agree. I agree 100%.
So,
Yeah, I was just going to say, I look at the, I always told my instructors this, is I look at the floor as a stage.
yeah.
And all the students are actors, and I'm the director, and the parents in the lobby are the audience. And so I have to create the best show in that half an hour, 45-minute time span,
Yeah.
that the actors are having a great time.
Yeah.
And they're following the script to a T. And the audience is having a wonderful time and being and sometimes even on an emotional roller coaster when needed. So
Right.
suspense to laughter to, you know, whatever it is, not crying, but, you know, from whatever it is,
Yeah.
that's the performance, that's the show
Yeah.
So true.
that has to happen. And
Yeah.
not in a fake way.
Right.
You know, again, not that we're not teaching real martial arts and not that it's a romper room type thing, but in a way that is engaging, that people go, yep, I want to go back for more.
Yeah. But if you use that analogy of them being actors and they have multiple stage performances through the night, right? First class, second class, they have to be on every one with the same enthusiasm, and they're actors. You don't act angry, you act happy, even if you're not happy inside. Like in my head, you know how many times I've said, oh my God, this kid is like,
yes,
half out of it, and like, what's wrong with him? But you're right though, Dwayne, that's important.
But that's why at the end of the night, I need, when everybody leaves, I need that half an hour of silence. I need to decompress. I can remember my wife going, why does it take you so long to get home? I need to be alone. And I didn't really know how to articulate that at the time.
No, I get it.
But it was, I needed that.
You do need
it. You absolutely do need it. And I think that it's interesting because I constantly have this discussion, and whether it's a spouse or family member or whatever, no matter how long that the individual either knows us or is with us, unless they're doing what we're doing,
right,
they still don't understand it. Like my family members understand that, hey, he's doing A, B, and C, but they don't really know what I'm doing. So that half hour, like you said, Dwayne, I'd be getting a call. Where are you? How come you said you'd be home at 9 and it's now 9:20? And that goes back to, the fact that if we're going and running our schools the way that the three of us are running our schools, it's a lot more than just putting on that uniform, doing your thing, taking it off and going home. Right. I always say, and I know you'll agree with me. I run I have this kind of parent company where I do similar to like you guys do too, is do some business consulting on the side to martial arts schools and, to just try to help them to develop, because a lot of martial arts schools, especially since COVID, but even pre-COVID, have suffered, closed, and really having a tough time, right? So I tell these clients of mine that, I said, staff development is right up there. Could be number one. And they're looking at me like, what? I go, yeah, staff development. So it's like you're saying, Dwayne, you got to be able to, Ali has to, we have to be able to convey about the actors and the audience and the director and everything. We have to convey that consistently. whether
Yeah.
it's staff meetings, whether that's retreats that we go out on and we talk about business planning or whatever, that has to be taught. And the other thing is people will say to me, well, how do you get people to stay with you so long? Like your staff.
Yeah.
I go back to the staff development thing again. I go, listen, you groom your staff. This doesn't just happen overnight.
Right.
Like these 13-year-old kids and 12-year-old kids that are holding the focus mitt for the 4 and 5-year-olds are the ones that are running my school now,
Right.
right? That started when they were 5. You
Mm.
got to develop that
Yeah.
and nurture that. So
Yeah.
another responsibility that we have, if we want our programs, we're not going to be around forever, and we can't be there, God forbid, if we got sick to the point that we couldn't. We need to make sure that the show goes on.
Right.
Show's got to go on. So
Yeah.
that staff development piece and the importance of like you both said about the curriculum and the way that we approach people walking in the door and teach those classes and teach to the parents is huge, huge.
Can I ask you, because we're getting close on time, which just goes by so
Oh my
darn
gosh,
quick, right? Yeah, with
this
like
is
eight,
awesome.
8 minutes. But I would like to know your thoughts on, because you and I are around the same age, 1 year apart.
Yep.
And we've been doing it for a very long time. Dwayne's still a young guy. Like he's so young.
Keep
Yeah.
on opening those schools, Dwayne. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah. But what are your thoughts on your future? Retirement at a certain age? Are you going to pull back and just oversee? Like what are your goals? And because it's hard as a martial artist to kind of slowly step out a little and or maybe not teach as much and give the reins to other people. That's always been hard.
It's scary, right?
It is scary. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, it's scary. So I don't know. I've gone through this transformation. I think I just recently turned 60, and like you said, we're close in age. So when I left the probation service in 2018, I really dug into this really strongly from all different levels. And like I tell people too, even though our discussion today really focused on how important is teaching and being on the floor, I sometimes feel that that's the easy part. And this is where I'm going with it, is that what we do under the hood, so to speak, that people can't see, I think is very challenging. We're dealing with staff. So we're an HR director. We've got staff that may have an issue or whatever. So sometimes we play social worker and psychologist. You sometimes feel you need to have your MBA to effectively manage all of the components of your business.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to deal with work-life balance because even though the kids are older and all that, there's still stuff you got to do. And you want to talk about self-care too, right? We want to make sure that we stay healthy, which sometimes we put ourselves last, which at this age now starts to take effect. And we talked about that a little bit earlier. So to answer your question, Ali, I think that the way that I'm feeling is now with 2 locations from 6, and I really feel that I've made a big impact at the 2 now. So I'm gradually decreasing my time. Actually, I do a lot of private lessons, as I mentioned. So I'm cutting back a little bit on the number of lessons that I teach, and I'm now doing more of that Dwayne's word of directing and managing the day-to-day operations. But also, if we don't become professional but wise delegators, would never be able to do this, whether it be the programming, the dojos, or the events that we run. You have to develop, nurture, and have staff that are willing to step in.
Yeah.
So I'm now putting more responsibility on those senior staff members that have been with me 10, 15, 20, 25 years to do a lot of the things that I was doing.
Right.
So I don't think that any of us are ever going to retire, but I think that the focus of what we want to spend time in, and I mentioned to you briefly that I'm really excited because I'm bringing in a lot of new programming to the school, so even though having this Kempo background and Goju-Ryu background and Japanese Jiu-Jitsu background, I've met so many great friends and colleagues now. I have veteran Tai Chi instructors in here on Sundays and Qigong and Kung Fu instructors. We're going to be doing a BJJ workshop coming up on March 1st, and we'll bring that in. And we have lion dancing in here where the kids are practicing to perform for Chinese New Year. So I really have this goal of really unifying all martial arts, and having people realize that the benefits can be huge no matter what you choose to do, and it's not one art versus the other.
That's awesome.
And that's what I'm really trying to do with the extravaganza. I don't know if you have a couple of minutes to talk about that.
Talk about that.
This event has turned into an international event. It started out as an intra-school weekend where we would have a little small Cervizzi tournament, and we'd have a little small banquet that you alluded to earlier that you do all the time, and seminars. We have some people come in and teach seminars. Well, this thing has really grown where I've had friends say, "Hey, kind of like what Andrew's doing. Can I bring my students and can I participate in the tournament?" And I have a friend who's really high up in this particular art, would love to come in and teach a seminar. So long story short, it's grown throughout the past 10 years to an international event. And it's coming up in March 22nd to the 24th. We have it like at a resort hotel with a big water park, because I feel that bringing the family, having the kids involved is a huge part of what we do. So the kids take part in all this, the seminars, the tournament, the banquet, demonstrations, lion dancing. We have instructors coming in from all over the world that are legendary. On the website too, there's a specific website. If I could just mention that briefly.
Yeah, of course. Tell me in, and I'll type it in and put it in our. Okay,
thread. Great. It's called the Extravaganza, EXTRAVAGANZA.
Yeah.
Weekend.
Okay.
.com.
Okay.
And you can find everything on there, Ali and Dwayne, from who is teaching. We've got 14 of the top instructors coming in teaching. We've got a meet and greet on Friday evening. We got a VIP Grandmaster gathering. We've got a phenomenal banquet with entertainment and, like I said, demonstrations going on, award recipients, black belt recognition, and what have you. And then Sunday we have our tournament. So it's there's no dot right there. The extravaganzaweekend.com. Perfect. Yes. And it's going to be a great time. So we'll have several thousand people throughout the weekend, but it's a fun weekend.
I think I spelled it wrong. It's a G. There's a G in there.
Extravaganza. Yeah, GAN.
Yeah, let me fix that.
Yeah, no problem.
Extravaganza.
I have to put my readers on that I turned 60 now, Al.
I have them too as well. I take them off for the podcast, but then I'm wearing them all day long. Okay, I fixed that. So if you click on it, it should bring it.
Yeah, it will bring you to who's teaching, what their specialty is. We got Kathy Long coming in and Rastita De Jesus. We got GGM Rob Castro.
Let me fix that again, Dwayne. It's wrong.
It's wrong again. Come on,
Allie.
All right. Extrav.
GANZA.
I don't drink.
It must be the vegan food.
Yes, exactly. The extravaganza.
Weekend.com.
Weekend.com. Let's try this one more time. All right. I think that's it now.
Yeah, if you go on there, you'll see all these great instructors. You'll see the itinerary up, what's going to happen. You have the tournament link. You have the banquet, the VIP information, and kind of everything. And it's fluid. So each week that passes, more information goes up. But it'll be a great weekend, and it's
Good.
just north of Boston at the Doubletree by Hilton, Boston North Shore. It's a great getaway, and like I said, a great family event to bring the kids. They have, like I said, a huge water park, and it's a great facility and a fun weekend for everybody.
All right, awesome. I'll promote it more, even on the other pages too.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Thank you. I can't believe it. We're out of time. We
I
did a
can't
whole
believe it.
hour.
This was awesome.
So let's have you back in the future.
I
okay?
would love to, and I want to thank you both for what you're doing, because this takes a lot of work on both your part, and you're doing exactly what the discussion we talked about today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. We appreciate it as well. Anything you want to close it out, Dwayne?
Yeah. I'm just again, we want to have you back on. Appreciate
Love
everything.
to.
So
Love
thank you for all your wisdom. I appreciate it, sir.
Thank you, and thank you both.
Bye.
All right. Have a good day, sir.
See you later.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Martial Arts School Owner Talk podcast. This would not be possible if it weren't for the support of our amazing sponsors. Please check out Elite Insights for all your website needs. They can be reached at eliteinsights.com. Add Health Coaching, helping school owners create a new and easy to implement revenue stream for your school. Visit addhealthcoaching.com. Lead Hunter Media, your online digital marketer and content provider. Visit leadhuntermedia.com. Academy Kings Growth Consulting and Management Group. They can be reached at academykings.com. And Spark Membership, hands down the best martial arts software for school owner management on the planet. They can be reached at sparkmembership.com. We will see you next time.